Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. So I wanted to just, in terms of my introductory remarks, concentrate on two areas. The issue of immigration and culture, and the question of the identity obsession. 3 years ago, I remember walking through a shopping centre in South London. I was on my lunch break from work, and I noticed a vicious argument going on between an old white man, and a woman in a hijab. And they were basically going at it hammer and tongs verbally. And I remember thinking, well, the girl was giving back as good as she got. But coming away from it, and I didn't know what the argument was about, there were racial insults traded. But I began to realize that when we're looking at the question of immigration, the whole focus in terms of the media has been very much looking at a numbers game, looking at how immigration can either be reduced or its failure to reduce it and the increases. But I think that the cultural dimension to the question of immigration is equally important. And it's something that is interesting that on the right is quite sharp on this issue, but on the left, we hear very little about the nature of change in local communities, in cities, and the impact of cultural difference. And I think that in terms of looking at this debate in relation to identity and its significance, for me, the emergence of diversity strategies and the elevation of identities is really something that it's quite logical that if you're left outside the camp of the various identities that are being championed, that your solution in terms of getting attention, acquiring resources, should be to recast yourself as an identity that is worthy of attention. So for me, the what blew up around the riots is no surprise. And I think that the discussion about the recasting of particularly the white working class as an ethnic group within itself in need of support and attention is something that has been floated around for some time. I don't think that it's a solution, obviously, to the problems faced by the white working class. But I also don't feel that in terms of the notion of diversity and its ability to resolve social problems, it has the evidence of its elevation seems to suggest that focus on people's differences has not been a profitable exercise in terms of generating social coherence. The identity obsession hit me more recently going to a meeting in Brussels of equality heads when I was given my lanyard. My lanyard had my pronouns on it. I immediately took a picture and sent it round to several friends who were in a state of shock, asked me if I'd flipped and traded and gone in a different direction. But my point is that I found it quite interesting reading some of the papers that were suggested for this session in the way that identity is first presented as an opportunity to recognize people's differences, but the conclusion of it seems to end with actually somebody else deciding which box to put you in. So my kind of I've got to get this right.
Real revelation.
Lanyard was something that I thought, well, who decided to put me in those categories? I thought this whole thing about pronouns was that you defined yourself. So I was quite taken aback at this, but it did kind of made me think about the suggestion that where we end up with this stuff is in some kind of post-Victorian anthropological kind of eugenics situation where the whole notion of social categorization seems to be really, really important in modern contemporary society. I think that throws up a challenge for those of us that really believe in freedom, but also those of us that believe that where discrimination and inequality exists, it should be challenged. So for me, the question of identity, I really agree with some of the stuff that's been put out in terms of commission reports. As Ella's indicated, I was part of the work around CRED, but I still feel we have some way to go in terms of winning the argument. And there's more to be said on this, but I look forward to hearing from colleagues on the panel and the debate from the audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kunle.